Let's enjoy some tea, some
Welcome.
attire.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that is nice. I
love
miss
that. I had
that.
one yesterday. It was great. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, it makes me up. So welcome to our new global media weekly talk show. Today is Sunday, January 19, 2025. Today we're gonna talk about public administration in the Gambia. Public administration in the Gambia. We have our guest here, Dr. Ismaila Badjie. Dr. Ismaila Badjie will introduce himself and will spearhead this discussion on public administration. And I have my co-host, Sam Ceesay. Sam in Indiana, welcome. And I'm your host here in New York, Momodou Sawaneh. So let's jump right into it, Dr. Ceesay, Dr. Badjie. Dr. Badjie, public administration. I mean, you can introduce yourself briefly to our audience, and we can just get into the topic of public administration in the Gambia.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this show. As a word of introduction, um, I'm Dr. Ismaila Badjie. And I just achieved my doctorate in business administration. I also hold a master's, an MBA from the University of Liverpool, and also a Master of Philosophy from the University of Murcia in Spain. I'm a shipping and logistics expert of over 25 years, spanning across Africa, having worked in Europe, been trained in the UK and the US, and currently I am based in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Very good. A lot of experience. Um, so, when you talk about public administration in the Gambia, can you spearhead this discussion and let us know what actually is about public administration in the Gambia and what are some of the things that we can takeaways that we can get from it? And Sam and I will feed in with questions and comments.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, when you look at public administration in the Gambia, you will realize at least there are a lot of gaps that you can identify across the spectrum. And again, that draws our light on ourselves as a people of what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve and how we go about it. Sometimes I ask myself, is it because we are, as a nation, is it because our country is small? Or is it because we as a people are not ready for prime time? Or is it that whatever we study and read and qualify on, we do not apply at work? Or is it that there are no accountabilities at people at the various offices of work? And last but not least is, do we actually know what is our purpose in life is? And what legacy do we want to leave behind? Now, when you look at the public administration in the Gambia, you will realize that on a daily basis, there are various gaps that have been identified and posted online every single day. I mean, either it is Watson Gambia mentioning one or two mishaps. Either you're talking about Gam Petroleum, or you talk about the ministries of justice, you're talking about the Gambia Port Authority, you talk about customs, and the list goes on and on and on. And the question that one tends to ask is, why are all those challenges and gaps there? Why can't we as a people make sure that this is solved? Now, we have to have strong institutions. And once these institutions are strong, that's how we're going to drive our country forward. I take a typical example of Senegal, for example. They have very strong institutions. And because they have very strong institutions, their country keeps progressing because the way the public administration is being done there is done in line with the standing orders, and no one compromises on it. In the case of the Gambia, it depends on who it is, not what it is. So, for example, if I become a director general of one of the institutions and I do something wrong, the only people who are going to criticize me are people who are not on my side, or maybe the opposing side will talk about it. But as soon as I join their opposing side, they start singing my praise. And that's the challenge that we have here as a people. And that is going to take a long time. Before coming online, I did mention that even in our private sector, we are facing a lot of challenges. So that begs the question, who are we as Gambians? Um, on Saturday, that's yesterday, I went to a financial institution. Officially, they start at 8:30 on Saturdays. I was there at 9:30. The branch manager was nowhere to be seen, and he needed to approve something. So when I asked for him, they called him, and then he said, this is 9:30 something. Please wait for me for half an hour, 1 hour. I'm on my way coming. And this is a private institution. What happens in public institutions? I mean, you're supposed to be at work at 8 o'clock or 8:30, but most people leave at home at 8:30 or 8 o'clock. They get to the offices at 9. They have to have their breakfast, and they do their other stuff. They're on the mobile phones and everything else. By the time they're willing to start to work, it's already 10:30, 11. But guess what? When it's time to go home at 4, 3:30, they have already packed and on their way out. Where are the checks and balance?
They're eager to go home.
Yeah. So what I tell people is that Gambia is the only country in the world that I know where people look for jobs. Once they get jobs, then they sit home and only expect the paycheck to arrive. Because I haven't seen any institution in the Gambia where someone who comes perpetually, late perpetually or consistently get deducted or gets suspended or gets fired. In other countries, that happens. If you're not at work for 3 days in a month without a valid explanation, you lose your job because you are there to serve the people. Now, what is the way forward? In my submission, is that we need to possibly start to embrace technology. But people are not willing to embrace technology here because it's going to expose us or them to so many things that we are hidden. Now, imagine today if you are in Gambia and you have to apply for your passport, right? You have to you go to pay at EcoBank, but then the rest of the things are all manual, including you have to go and queue and they start shouting your name. Whereas you could have actually done this online, post all the documents online, get approved online, your passport is issued online, you get notified that your passport is ready, and then you go and pick it. Now, some of my kids were born in New York, and I had to renew their passports 2 weeks ago in the embassy here in Banjul. I went in, filled documents and everything. They gave me a timeline of 2 weeks. I didn't have to go physically there to queue and do all what. I just submitted all the documents, etc. And then within 2 weeks, I got an email that your passport is ready. You please come and pick it up on this day and time at between 4 p.m. to 4:25 p.m. And it's done and dusted, and the efficiency goes. So this is where we are in the Gambia. And if we want to be ready to compete in the global market, in the global world, we need to reassess ourselves and realize that what is happening here cannot continue. What makes it sad is that almost every Gambian who works out of Gambia does well, extremely well. I mean, you see Gambians in the banking industry, Gambians in the shipping industry, Gambians in some of the private sectors, they are doing extremely well out of Gambia. But somehow, once you come into the country, things fall apart. Why is it that? Possibly the center cannot hold. So this for me, that is the challenge that we have here in Gambia, and that is why we have a lot of challenges. And these challenges we have to face them heads on. And this issue of masla and in trying to compromise will not work, because we need to look at each other's faces and tell each other the uncomfortable truth if we want to advance as a people. Because it is very, very frustrating, especially if you need to do something in these public offices. You suffer a lot. And the saddest part of all is this, is that most of those guys sitting in those offices are holding masters in public administration. They're holding degrees. This is not pre-94 when few people had degrees. Now we have, in almost every institution you go to, people are there highly qualified. But again, like I said, what is your purpose of life? What is your purpose of being in that office? Is it to get the salary paid and you go, or you really want to make a difference? While I was living in Ghana and I used to receive a lot of public officials, one senior official told me, Ismaila, if there was no per diem, I wouldn't even be working for the public offices, you know. So therefore, it became a problem where people focus is only on the cash they take home and how much they can make out of it, not because they will have an interest to do the job at hand. So I'll stop there for now. I can talk about this on and on and on, but that's a challenge. But like I said again, it's also up down to us as a people. Now, either you want to do, you're building a house, or you want to do, I don't know, any kind of job here, or you want to depend on a reliable supplier. All those jobs are going foreign. Why are they going foreign? Because our people are not delivering quality, they are not delivering on time, they're having a lot of excuses, and cash management is a problem. And that starts from the family all the way to the local government, to the central government. We don't know how to manage money. And some guys will tell you around September, October, we don't have budget to do anything else. Where's our planning? Where's our planning? I mean, if you have a calendar of events to do for 12 months, and by the ninth month, you run out of cash, you run out of money, then how do you continue to manage that institution that you have been given? Right? So that I'll stop there for now, and then I'm happy to answer any more questions so that we can make it a bit more interactive.
Exactly. Yes, that's the word of the day, to make it interactive. So before I move to my co-host here, Sam, I have few questions to really ask. I'll make it short. Um, you mentioned something like a lot is happening outside the Gambia than within inside.
Yeah.
So if Gambians are doing well outside than inside in the country, so that has to definitely tell you what the issue is. The issues probably are about the environment. Either there is no enough support systems or infrastructure, or the policies, or leadership. So it can vary. We have to pinpoint where the problem is. We cannot just identify the problem and don't know where to connect it to. So my question is
Mhm.
here is that
Yeah.
why is that happening? Where can we pinpoint the issue on? Is it lack of policy? Is it lack of leadership? Is it lack of infrastructure? Is it lack of support system? Is it lack of patriotism? What it is that is causing Gambians outside to do more than those inside?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. In my own submission, I would say that it's multifaceted. The first one I would say is that you realize that once you walk out of the Gambia, any institution you work for, there's accountability, right? You have your KPI, you have your deliverables, and you deliver them. If you don't deliver them, you are shown the exit door. Does this happen to Gambia? No. You get to a job, and then basically I am so and so, and that's it. That's number one. Enforcement. There are policies, but enforcement. We Africans are very good at policies. We basically prepare all types of policies and we ratify all policies. We put them into law. But when it comes to application, enforcement is where we're not doing well, right? And that's one. That's the second thing. The third thing is that, either because we are so small and we don't hold each other to account. Like I said before, if I have a head of an institution and I do something wrong, instead of Sam, who's a cousin or a friend of mine, telling me, Ismaila, you know what? This what you are doing is extremely bad. Make sure that it is rectified. No, Sam will be singing my praise and defend me online 24/7, all year round. Now, the day that I have a fight with Sam, Sam will switch to 360 and start saying that I am bad, right? That's the another one. Then the next one is when it comes to being patriotic. Now, this is something that can be looked at different angles. But what I would say in terms of patriotism is that what legacy do you want to leave behind? What is your purpose of life, right? Knowing that you have a short-term contract in this world where if you're lucky here, men are dying in 40, 43, and women are dying in their early 50s. You know that you have a short time in this world. What is your purpose of life? That's number one, you need to identify. Number two, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And number three is that what is the impact that the other people are suffering from? Take a typical example, health, right? Now, if you do not take care of the medicine that comes into this country, you don't take care of the hospitals, you don't take care of the nurse the nursing education, the doctor education, you are simply exposing the whole country to a risk, and the risk of people dying for various reasons. Look at road construction, for example. If you don't deliver a high quality road, you end up having endless amount of accidents that are killing people. And so we tend to say, okay, drivers are reckless, so and so and so, but maybe the roads are not even good, right? And so all these things, for me, boil down to us as a people looking at each other and identifying and say, you know what? Let's have a no compromise mindset and say, let's call each other out. Let's tell each other the truth and make sure that our sense of patriotism, if you say I'm a Gambian, make sure that anything that is Gambian, you defend it with all your heart, with all your mind, and all your energy. So those are the things that I would say. In terms of education, maybe our education setting needs to be looked at. Are we patriotic enough? Is what the education system that is being given here, is it relevant? I mean, if it is not relevant, maybe time for us to look at it. Look at for example, I live in Ghana. I mean, even their football national team, the jersey that they wear, everything is made locally. We order ours abroad and we ship it down here. They eat organic, they eat local. Nigeria is the same. You can see an MD of an office. He had a rural home. He closes on Friday afternoon, goes straight to the village, does his farming, does his things, and bring those yam and those potatoes and everything, and that's what they use, as food and also, they're proudly Nigerian, proudly Ghanaian, and they can debate and discuss about issues. But in Gambia, you're only recognized if they said, I'm bringing my products from the United States. This shirt I'm wearing is made in America, made in the UK. The only time that they are proud to talk about their brother is when their brother is in the United States or is in the UK or so and so. I mean, when I tell people I work I work and live in Nigeria, they say, oh, okay, you tell me you're in the US or in the UK or whatever. But it's the mindset of the people, because what they are looking at is America is equivalent to money, power, knowledge, skilled. Whereas this is also available in this country that we are in. So we have a lot to learn from. And for me, we as a country need a paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift has to start with education, has to start with a sense of patriotism, our purpose of life, etc., etc.
All right, so I will save the other questions for Sam. Sam to come in. Sam.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Badjie as well. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it very much. I think Gambia is Unfortunately, it's a sad country. It is really sad for Gambians. And my words to really describe things is um, there's a lot that needs to be done in the Gambia. A lot needs to be done. And going into the public administration that you said, and you gave example of the institution, public institution or private institution that you went to, which was a bank, and the service that you received there. And it's sad, but that's the norm. That's the norm for Gambia. I think in a couple of my audios, I think it was about last week or week before last, I was talking about customer service. Service in general is bad in Gambia because one, we don't know the value of the people that we serve. And this needs to start from the president. The president need to know the value of the people, knowing that the people elected him and put him in office. So he needs to respect the people and really do everything he can to make the people's lives better. Now, and everyone else that is appointed by the president to come work for him should have the same goal. Putting those values in place first is very important. Then after the values, like you said earlier, we all know Gambia, we like to make a lot of policies and rules and regulations, but who follows them? Nobody follows them. So they become useless. So it's important that we do. I would, before I even go to private sectors, I think the Gambia government need to have their own, what I call a comprehensive civil service reform. This reforms the civil and the public service so that they set the example, they set the foundation, the guidelines as to how they are going to rule and how they are going to take care of the people that they serve, the people that actually put them in power in the first place. Once they set that example, they can pass that same expectation to happen in other places by setting up not only rules and regulations, but SOPs, standard operating procedures. If you go to any government institution, they will have their own standard operating procedures that will not be bypassed. It will be the same standard operating procedure, regardless of who is in line, whether it's a minister or a farmer or a watchman. Should be the same standard operating procedure, and their procedures need to be followed, and they need to be done timely, and hold themselves accountable. Uh, in setting up P&Ls, not P&Ls, KPIs, key performance indicators to be able to hold people accountable to that. And in the comprehensive civil service reform that I proposed as well, this includes holding performance evaluations for people. When it's time to give a salary increase to people, you don't increase people's salary without looking at their performance. The salary increase should be based on performance. Once you every department conducts a performance evaluation of their people and list them into maybe three different buckets: bucket A, B, and C. For example, bucket A are your top performers that should be getting the most money off the pay increase. If the government has a budget to give a maximum of 10%, I'm just giving a number, a maximum of 10% increase in
Mm-hmm.
salaries, well, those in bucket A will get the maximum 10%. Those in
Yeah.
bucket B will get maybe 5 to 7%. And then those in bucket C will fall under either no pay increase, or they get the bare minimum of probably 1% to 2%. Now, if people see this happening and knowing that their performance is being counted and they're being held accountable for what they do, because the only way to make a good pay increase, to be able to get the government's maximum increase, is to perform well, to do an outstanding job for your people at
Yeah.
your location. So once they do that and hold people accountable, I think people are going to start to perform better. Because if you don't perform better, you're not going to get a pay increase. And if you fall below that bucket, and based on performance evaluations also, there are some people that should be in the line of fire. People we need to get rid of because they are no good to us, no good to our society. They're not serving our people. They are instead wasting people's time. Such people should be out of the government. You know, it's hard to say, and I'll have to say this, but I'll have to admit, when the military took over our country in 1994, I remember Senator Sabali was one person that was named that used to run from office to office to hold people accountable to make sure, number one, people are at work on time, and two, that they do their job, and three, that they don't leave early. He was doing that, and I was really happy that someone is now holding people accountable to do their job, because that's very important. That's how effective a government can be, to get things done, have goals set, to make sure today, this is what needs to be done today. It needs to be done today. It's not going to wait till tomorrow. Something that needs to be done this month is not going to next month. You must do it this month. So I think at the end of the day, we don't have that discipline. We don't have the standard operating procedures. If we do, we're not following them, and we're not holding ourselves accountable, and which makes it very difficult. So at the end of the day, where is the solution? What is the solution? My way of thinking is it needs to start from the top. If you have a top person, because anybody within the government gets out in every department or in any department, you go out to fight these things. Instead, they will be fighting you to get rid of you. So it should come from the top, from the president, coming down. Once the president wants to hold and start to hold every minister accountable for their department, the ministers start to hold their people accountable, then things will happen. But without that, I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult. And Mr. Badjie, I totally agree with you. What happened at the bank? I had similar encounters when I was in the Gambia. I think last year or year before last, I'm not sure. But I spent a lot of time in the bank. I went to AfriCell. I spent a lot of time in AfriCell. I mean, things that should be done within 10 minutes and you walk out the door is taking you 2 hours to in that place. Very bad service. But I'd like for you to share more of those things that you know of that are happening out there that we can increase on or improve on, and what do you think are the solutions?
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. I mean, I think you've done justice to the subject. I start with customer service. It is probably the worst. I mean, in terms of customer service, in all the places I've lived and worked in, and this is not exaggeration, because when you walk into an office here, people there look at you as they're doing a favor for you, instead of celebrating you and understanding that, hey, this is a guy that's my paymaster. This guy giving me salaries.
That's right.
Now, I take an example. When I walk into a local shop, for example, in Nigeria. I mean, from the moment you step in, immediately someone has attention on you, right? He or she will approach you, will talk to you, will try to connect with you at a personal level. I mean, you could have planned to go and buy one item, but by the time you leave the shop, you may have spent twice or three times your budget.
Yep.
That's one element of it. Then this second element is again, do some of these people that are in customer service are put there, do they actually have the training, or do they even know the product that they are that they're supposed to be servicing, right? I mean, you go, for example, you have a simple issue like your bank app has an issue, right? And depending on how many people you talk to, they give you three, four different versions of the same thing. I mean, what is really happening? Are we really investing time on training? Are we really spending time on understanding the customer needs? Are we really saying, okay, you know what, in the face of competition, what can we do? Now, Gambia could become a financial hub if we just do just 2-3 things. If we just get 2-3 things, it could be a financial hub where, like Singapore, we could be the service center for many people, right? Most of the big companies have their service center in India. Why are they having the service center in India? Right? For them, myself, I mean, you get your salaries processed in India, and then they just send this, and then you get paid wherever you are in the world. In the US, most of the jobs have been outsourced to India in their service centers. But in the case of the Gambia, what's happening is that on the customer service front, it doesn't almost exist. And that has to change. I think the only time that you see someone smiling at you or trying to take care of you, either in the bank or in a restaurant or in a public or private institution, is when they know that, hey, Sam is a guy. When he comes and he's going to give me something. That 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 has to change. When you talk about KPIs, respecting people, like I said, it is a general weakness that the Gambia has, and you are right. It has to start from the top. But even if you take a bottoms up approach, you will see it's missing, right? Because you cannot even have a conversation with some of the technocrats in a key office position. What they do is whine, complain. Imagine if you are talking to a permanent secretary or a high profile person, he's complaining about his minister, or the minister will complain about his permanent secretary, right? Or they complain about the PMO, or you talk about and you go to a principal, he's talking about his ministry. So everybody's blaming everyone, and no one's trying to take responsibility for it,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Mhm.
take for example, littering in the town and the city and everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
Even if when they put litter boxes for people to be able to, drop the litter there, no, they throw it on the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
we as a people have lost this discipline, the basic things that we're supposed to get. And the more we continue to do those things, the more difficult it is. And of course, if you read the 48 powers, the 48, minds of power, you realize that what the government is doing is to be able to control more power and keep it to themselves. Because the more ambiguous some of these things are, and the easier for them to do things. Um, and that's what exactly is happening. So the people are being kept at bare minimum in terms of knowledge, experience, expertise, and then a bit hungry. And based on that, uh, people are forced to keep following and begging and singing praises of everyone. I mean, the country. I mean, a large chunk of people have become perpetual beggars. I'm sure when you came to Gambia, you must have experienced that. Why is that happening? Again, many reasons. Uh, Again, take example of Nigeria, for example, where no one, the guys are not ashamed to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go and sell meat pie on the street. They sell the meat pie on the street, they make their money because no one is going to give them anything. No one is going to hand them free money. Here, when Sam comes from the United States, he will get visitors from left, right, center, the known, the unknown, and everybody else.
Yeah.
How do we intend to
Change
be
that.
a first grade nation? How can we
Yeah.
become? Everywhere you scratch, sadly, there are a lot of things to improve on. We had a Ministry of Digital Economy, right? After 6 months or 9 months or 1 year after he had to be left out of the had to leave office, I didn't see anything digital that he has created. I lived in East Africa for 3 years, Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. No one needs to move out with cash. It's all mobile money. In Nigeria, you buying corn on the street. You pay your bank app. The app we have in Gambia are barely working. And if they are working, there's no Wi-Fi. There's no internet connectivity. And if there's internet connectivity is the most expensive in the world. I mean, the problem that we have in the Gambia, I'm not even sure even prayers can save us.
Right, right. So since prayers cannot save us, I just want to jump in here. Perhaps yeah, because Gambia is really experienced a lot of prayers, day by day, month by month, week by week. But this is what I want to come here. You mentioned something like remote people working remotely.
Yes.
That is something that could really help the Gambia in terms of like setting, to cover certain work threshold, if that was possibility. But the other challenge with
Mhm.
that is internet stability. Like we've been conducting this show, and sometimes we run into a lot of issues with our guests because of the instability with the internet connection.
Yeah.
remote work becoming a new model, especially after COVID, and has been proven productivity involves with working from home or from anywhere. But
Yeah.
again, this is an issue when it comes to the Gambia because the internet connection is not up there. So we still have challenges with that. So that would actually would have been a plus, somewhere to
Hmm.
explore, especially those who come to work late. They could have utilized that opportunity to work from home and then be at the convenience of their home and perhaps do the same kind of work from home.
Yes. Yes.
So we wouldn't be able to apply that to the country to the Gambia as a whole. So basically
Yeah.
people have to do the traditional, going to the office. So another
Yeah.
thing, is taking cash out of people's hand, which actually create a lot of inefficiency in such transactions, to make it paperless so that and digitalize things. People can, electronically, bank online. People can do a lot of transaction seamlessly behind the scene. So that is also a challenge because vast majority of our population illiterate. Still, the educational
Hmm.
level in Gambia is not up there. So
Yes.
that poses another challenge in administering in the public. Um,
Yeah.
so you look at all these challenges now. How could we overcome this? That's the that's the biggest questions we can of the day. So in order to overcome this, it needs not only one area, not only one reform, not only a lot of things. It needs good leadership. It needs infrastructural changes. It needs money. It needs sensitization, and
Hmm.
it needs public awareness and all of that. So my thing is that the reason why we're having public administration challenges in order to be effective, especially at the workforce, it has to do with a whole host of things that is beyond, even beyond the control of one person. Yes,
Hmm.
when things don't go around, when things don't go right, we blame the leadership.
Yeah.
We blame the president.
Yeah.
When things goes right, we don't often even give them the credit, which is
Yeah.
how it is. Any position of leadership, that's how it is. Fair enough.
Yes. Yeah.
My thing is here. I think us Gambians is about time somebody like yourself, Sam Ceesay, um, Famara, Famara Drammeh, you name it, Ousman. I think it's about time Gambians, we take the matter in our own hands, and then create, kind of like an evolution, kind of like a movement. You know, it's about time. If we're gonna sit down and pinpoint, you know, issues without taking a concrete, steps, concrete approach, and face
Hmm.
it, we're gonna be here for another 10 years, and we're gonna be in the same spot.
Yeah.
Holistically, I'm telling you, because
Oh.
we're talking about the government. The government has so many things. They don't even get their act together, much more than focusing on the key elements to make the country, to make Gambia great again. I'll use this word, make Gambia great
Yeah.
again, just like how Trump used make America great again. I think Gambia can be great again or even be greater, but it will need a massive approach. We have the talent. Like you said, we are scattered out, we do better. What about, you know, finding a way, calling national, let's say, national movement of um, just bringing change to the Gambia, but no matter what, this is feasible. The resources are there. The connections are there. You look at you, an experienced person like you, until to the point that people think that you live in the states, because the kind of work you do in Nigeria and other African countries. Do you know how many of you are out there? I would say hundreds, but we don't even know them. We don't know each other. How many Osam sisters are out there? Hundreds. So I think we need to a public sensitization in the diaspora and the people on the ground. And we started to take the matter in our own hands. It comes down to that. Because without that,
Yeah.
we're gonna all be blaming each other, finger pointing, and nothing will get done. And also, in addition to that massive movement and the desensitization and the taking the matter in our own hands, we need to also identify that and acknowledge that the people in the position of leadership in different civil services need to take the matter in their own hands to make sure the policies are in place, things are followed to do results, to bring results, accountability, the KPI that you guys were talking about, and quarterly assessment to make sure that there's productivity happening in their various departments. Because without having set goals and following up those set goals to see and evaluate whether there is a measure of productivity and where there is lack of productivity, then you are not moving. You just getting your budget, spending it, making sure that people are paid, and that's it. So you're not measuring. Once there's no measurement, there's no accountability, there's no transparency. And we need to start rewarding those who are going above and beyond, recognizing them,
Yeah.
rewarding them, making them feel what they are doing is appreciated and they can do more. And others who are seeing that would also strive to do more. We see all these things happening in the West. You can never be tired of that. So I think
Yeah.
we need, to sit down. There was one time they said the national dialogue. National dialogue is not to dialogue about politics. Who's going to be our leader? No, we
Yeah.
have an internal problem. This is sickening.
Yeah.
It's a sickness that need to be cured internally. And it has to start with us from the ground up. I'm tired of the up-down approach. Let's go from ground up. Yeah.
Yeah. Bottoms up. Yeah.
The bottom up. And
Yeah.
people like you and Sam Ceesay, Famara and others could make this happen. But we have to all come to our senses to say it is about time. If one thing doesn't work, there's always a way. There's no one way to skin a cat. And I think politics has really divided us. It has really made us not seeing anything feasible. The Gambia has the most, 60% of what? A young population.
Yeah, youth. Yeah, over 60%. Yeah,
over 60%. Doing what? Basically nothing. So that's an opportunity missed. And then the diaspora is not also exploited. The talent in diaspora has not been tapped into, simply because diasporans have been a threat. The Dual Citizenship Act actually prevent a lot of people from holding important offices, while these people could come and then get those things, it will work effectively. But it's all politics. It's all about, if we empower them too much, they will come and conquer us. So this is my problem. My problem here is, my observation is, we need to sit down and talk about, look at each other's face and talk about reality. But we must have first the patriotism in us that, listen, individually we have succeeded, but guess what? It didn't matter. If you individually succeeded, you're driving expensive cars, living in a luxurious lifestyle, and your country is a mess, what does that tell you? You go there, you nearly fainted because there is nothing that you can be proud of.
And the road you drive on,
barely
you're driving an expensive $10 million car, but the road that you drive to your house is messy.
So this is why.
No, I think you are right, and I think you are spot on. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's my contribution towards that, because as at the end of the day, people like you are on the ground, and then you are seeing and you are acknowledging the problem, but we need a solution. The solution man will tell you, we need a solution. Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, Yeah, but well, I think you are spot on in the sense that in the Gambia, I mean, everything is looked at from political lens, sadly. And that's the problem that we are facing. I mean, uh, when the change of government happened, there was a thing of a think tank. They wanted to identify all talents, all Gambians, have a database, who can do what, who cannot do what, and all those things. And that was geared towards looking at who can support us succeed together. But that idea was disbanded immediately. The new government came into power, and people were appointed who barely could even read as the ambassadors and deputy ambassadors, etc., etc. So the problem that we have, like I said, yes, we should have a national dialogue, and we should stop and think to ourselves, say, you know what? It's not politics 24/7. I mean, Gambia is probably the only country where it's politics from the moment we vote in a president until the next election is all politics every day, right? We need
Yeah.
to sit down and say, okay, you know what? If Sam is the best guy to do this job, let Sam do it. I mean, and you don't necessarily have to have Sam on the ground to be able to do some of these things. Maybe he could do it, from the United States, right? I mean, we have got jobs now where you do it remotely and you're getting paid. I do online consultancy, for example. Some people consult me and I do online 1 hour, 2 hours here and there. Weekends, I do some consultancy. But they don't need me to be there physically to be able to do that. Like I said before, if we fix our internet, we fix our network issues, right? Those two things, if we solve them, you realize that companies will come and open their offices here in Gambia, and that can create jobs. I mean, Amazon opened an office in Ghana. Why not Gambia? You have people, it's cheap to live in, it's safe, it's secure. So if you fix the internet issue and you fix the network issue, you're already creating jobs directly and indirectly.
Yeah.
And this idea of being afraid of competent people, we need to shift from there, because if you are the most intelligent or the most educated or the most whatever, or the richest guy in the room all the time, you are in the wrong room, because you're not going to improve, right? So it is important for us to realize that and legislate properly. For example, like you rightly mentioned, I mean, if you are the best minister of information technology, but you hold an American citizenship, you cannot be a minister. Why not? Because of the laws in place. And that, it only takes 5 minutes for them to at the National Assembly to change that law. But they will not change it because they're not interested. When they wanted to change, for example, the age limit, it was done in 5 seconds at the National Assembly. Why can't we change and legislate? So the problem that we have is a lot. It's a lot. And unless we look at each other and tell each other the truth and say, you know what, Gambia is what we got. Let's do our best for the country and for the legacy. Things are not going to change anytime soon. And for me, it makes me sad that our expertise and experiences are being used to develop other countries. and then you cannot do much in Gambia, because the first time you start talking about it, they look at you like, I know this guy is looking for position. But you tell me, if someone is an international appointment, in terms of remuneration, salary, condition, positions, and everything, why would anyone want to give up and come to Gambia for salary? You only come to Gambia because you want to do a job, you want to make a difference, right? So I think I agree with the national dialogue in the form of nationalism, patriotism, but not focus on politics, but focus basically on, hey, let's get the best people. Imagine today, in other countries, to appoint a minister, the president will nominate, but the National Assembly has to ratify. In Gambia, it's not like that. An MD of the parastatal is not named by the president, and that's it. A head of the police, a head of the army, and all those things. There's no ratification. There's no process like that there. You just name the person. The person becomes, gets the title next from tomorrow and start working. Why don't we have to take them through an interview and grill them? Today, if I want to get even the company that I am right now, if I want to move to another new position, I'm interviewed. I have to show that I deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But no, in Gambia, someone is appointed, and so most of the time they even get the appointment letters while they are sleeping. Someone is lobbying for them. I'm not even worried about that, but can that party actually be able to deliver on those? You know, you are seeing someone who has an experience in petroleum, and then you move in from permanent secretary petroleum, and then you move into permanent secretary education. How is that supposed to be? That party is supposed to give you the best that he's able to, and it's supposed to be the chief admin officer in that ministry, right? I mean, my area is shipping and logistics. Now, if you take me and make me head of finance minister, what are you? You're setting me for failure. But since here no one is on no one is being on performance and anything else, I sit there for a couple of years, get my salary, travel back and forth, and then move to the next one. That's the challenge that we have. And I think that the youth of this country can come together without focus on politics and say, this is what we want for our country. And this is what needs to change. And if it doesn't change, we are not going to do better. And the countries in the sub-region, Senegal, Bissau, etc., are doing better, much better than us. Bissau, for example, I used to live there for 5 years. We used to supply them with rice, sugar, and stuff like that during Jammeh's time. I mean, now those people, they have regular electricity. I was there in 2019, 2020. They have got regular power supply. The electricity is good. Their internet is very powerful, etc., etc. So they're actually going ahead of us. We are where we are. The only thing that have changed is that people have got more money, either legally or illegally, and they have been building houses every day. And we are just like the hunter mindset. You go to the bush, you hunt as much as possible, you bring home what the meat you need and what you don't need, you just bring home. But that has to change. And change starts with us.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that. But I'm glad you mentioned that change starts with us. Again, that's my emphasis here. I think we need to take the matter in our own hands. Matter has been really lacking, putting it only on our government or stuff like that. But I think at this point we need to Gambian citizens need to come together. That's the message that I think would resonate with many people, and perhaps if people buy into that, we can make a difference. Sam, do you have anything to add to that? Because we're going towards the end of the hour, so
so we can wrap it up here too. Yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, I still like to. I know the bottom up approach is good. I like the top approach coming down. Here's the reason. When you start from the bottom, you're gonna get to a point where if you say you get to a director or a permanent secretary, from the bottom you're going up. When you get to that person and that person is not willing to change, they're not willing to do anything, the whole program is dead. It's not going anywhere. But if it comes from the top, they have no choice but to execute it. If not, they will be removed. You see, the bottom cannot put any consequences for people that don't want to do it, but the top can put consequences for people that don't want to do it. And I would say that also some of our problems don't require money, don't even require money. It just needs a change of mindset and change of personnel in places. I'll give you an example. If you go to immigration in Gambia and you want to get a passport, there will be lines of people in there, right? Lines of people. Some people will have to go multiple days to be able to get their passport. Now, to me, that's a simple fix, because I can walk in there, evaluate, look at how the process goes from start to finish, evaluate the situation, and I will immediately tell you what the root cause is in this. When I look at that root cause, I will come up with a solution and say, here's what we need to do. If you have every day, you have 500 people looking for a passport, but you only have 2 people that approve passports. And when you go to the counter, you only have, let's say, 3 people that takes care of people. That's a simple fix. Bring immigration officials. Where are they? What are they doing? Bring them in. Instead of having 3 people collecting passports, bring 10 people to collect passports from people. All these 10 people are processing. Then instead of only 2 people approving, you will have about 7 people, officials, top officials. You're not bringing an outsider. You're using the same immigration people. You get top 7 other people that can approve passports. So you have 10 people collecting information. I'm just giving an example. I don't know how many people are there, but obviously there's a big delay in there. So that means they don't have enough manpower there. So put the manpower there, allow more people to collect in a 10 people that can process passports as quickly as possible so that it can get to the next level. The next level also, don't let it be 1 or 2 people, because if those 1 or 2 people don't come to work, or they have a funeral, or they have a naming ceremony to go to, now you're holding hundreds of people behind. They will have to come back the next day. That should not be happening. We should have a backup plan so that when this person is not here, well, we have 7 other people that do the same thing. So no delays in there. We need to be able to move to the next level so that those next people can also, their job is sit at their desk, examine what they need to examine. That's their job. They already know their job. It's not like they're going under training. They already know their job. They know what to look for to be able to approve a passport. Approve it, let it move on. Just that simple thing can be executed there without having to have a long line for people. Every day long lines. There's a simple fix. Yeah. So that's the way I look at things. So, and that does not require any money. It doesn't require us to do any money. Spend any money there.
Absolutely. Actually, Sam, and then just to add to that, digitalize it. All you need to do, digitalize it, put it on a portal.
Absolutely.
I don't have to go to immigration in Banjul to renew my passport.
Exactly.
You just give me a link, and online I upload everything. Ask me how much to pay. I pay using my debit card or credit card.
And when you're
then
done,
it's done. And when it's done, I either go and pay. 2 options to do. I have 3 options. Option 1, I pick it up myself. Option 2, I give power of attorney to someone to pick it for me. And option 3, you mail it to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can have Sam, who's an immigration expert, sitting somewhere working remotely, and his job is to make sure that he checks everything and takes it. What's so complicated about this thing? If you do that, imagine how much money you're going to save from people paying transport to go to Banjul and stand there in the queue under the hot sun.
That's why I said it's a simple fix. It doesn't really need to be to spend money on it. We don't need to put too much money on it. We just need to bring the same people that are working in different areas, bring them in, supply them manpower to meet the demand of the people. You see, supply and demand.
I had an agreement with one of the immigration officers the other time. He said, "No, in Gambia, we cannot do it." I said, "Listen, when you apply for the US visa, UK visa, Europe visa, and they ask you to pay online, what do? You do it, right? You do it, right? I said, COVID, if you are going to Ghana, those days, COVID, you go online and you pay online. In Gambia, you can also pay online. We have very good technology experts in this country. All you need to do is just for them to set you up, and then immediately, bam, it happens. And then you pay, the money goes straight to the account, and no chance of fraud. But no, people want the physical cash. People want to have contact with people, and the reason why they want to have contact with Sam and Ismaila and others, because they know that whatever happens, Sam will leave $200 in my pocket before he leaves. And therefore, Sam's passport, instead of taking 3-4 days to process, is now immediate. You can get your passport printed immediately. And this is the problem.
You know why? Because that person is going to leave their post and let 7-10 people wait and go in person to take your passport to the person that's going to sign it and have that person sign and come. So their procedures are all whacked. There's not a standard operating procedure.
And what I told the immigration guy, I said, actually, we can make the state make more money. You have an option. Option number 1 is normal process is 7 days. Option number 2, you want a fast track. So fast track, you pay a fast track fee. Right. Imagine how much money did the state will generate from there.
You
want a fast track. You want a passport in 1 day. you pay 10,000, for example. You want a passport in 3 days, you pay 6,000. You want your passport in a week, you pay the normal 3,000. Just imagine how much the state can generate from there. And that's the power of transparency. That's the power of technology. That's the power of how we can generate money for our state. But again, are we patriotic enough to want to change for the good of the nation? No.
Now you are talking.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the question. Now we're talking. So I have our guy, our co-host
Famara
here.
is on. Hey, Famara.
Famara, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. Ismaila and our guest here.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Badjie, for coming, and then congratulations on your recent doctorate degree, and of
Thank
course
you.
last weekend for attending our final in Bruford. Thank you so much.
It's always a
you
pleasure.
guys know each other. Okay, that's a connection there, Bruford connection there.
Yeah.
So Famara, you want to contribute to something before we wrap it up, because we are almost at the top of it?
Absolutely. I think I deleted the messages on my audio, so I didn't have the link to come in quickly when the program started. We want to thank Doctor for coming through and sharing his experience with us. He's a very good person and very hardworking, and he has an experience working in the sub-region and international. So, and then he's in charge of staffs in the organization. So hearing from him is a great plus for the country, and of course for us as well, to learn from his experience. So as you guys were discussing, I think the passport issue, the experience is given, is one of those things that if we really show commitment and patriotism, the government can make a lot of money. So instead of those money coming to the government, they are going into private pockets. This is why the commitment is not there to digitalize some of these transactions and constraints that we are facing. And then we need to improve on that. And I think government need to take a bold step, because we have very good policies in Gambia, and those policies needs to be backed with strategic action plans, and of course with commitment and political will. So once we put that into to back our policies, obviously we will develop as a country. It's not easy, but we have to take the bull by the horn and implement those policies, because that's why we have laws. If we cannot implement laws, there's no point in having them in the first place. And then I think we need to be bold enough to do this. And then, Doc mentioned about customer services, and these are all very key areas that helps the country and also give us good image, because somebody coming from outside staying in the country, and we also have a lot of foreign diplomats and expatriates in the country. They are seeing what we are doing, so if they do have those kind of bad experience, the way our public services, not only in the customer service or in the private companies, but even in the government, the way we handle issues, the way we deal with issues is very important. It tells a lot about the government, and it tells a lot also about how serious we are in terms of managing our institutions. So that's very key, and government need to set example for that. And people coming into work late and they want to get off early and still want to receive full salary. So we need to implement those things to be very serious and do the needful. I think that's very, very important, definitely. So Sam mentioned about performance evaluation. I think that's very key too. I just had my performance evaluation last week, and it's an annual thing. So they give you like up to 5 points. So if you're below 3 points, then obviously you have to contact HR. They have to decide whether to get rid of you, or if you need training to do your job, then they'll provide training for you, because they don't want you to underperform. They want to know what is the problem. Why are you not performing? If it is you need resources or you need training to do your job, then they'll provide the training for you. But if they expect you to do your job, then you need to perform. So, and if you don't perform, you don't get that salary increase. And then here, like
Exactly.
every year, like if you do your performance evaluation, they give you a salary increase, maybe 3% of your midpoint, something like that, 2%, 3.3% of your midpoint. So you get something, but also you are performing, you are delivering to expectation. So I think I don't know whether PMO does this to all the civil servants or not, because I understand right now they're trying to make things right, and then also getting rid of all these, ghost employees in the system. I mean, you see how people are also manipulating the system. You know that you don't have this amount of number of staff in your organization, but you're still receiving salaries. Where are those monies
Yeah,
going? So
exactly.
you can mention different case studies and still go on, but we just need to change our attitude, you know, and then do what is right. Doc mentioned about throwing trash in the trash can. I know my first time to go to the UK, I was in the public library. When you go to use a computer, this is about 20 years ago, and then they give you kind of a passcode on a piece of paper, for you to access a computer. Okay. Then I was trying to print something. I used the computer, and then I had that access paper in my hand. As soon as I walk out of the computer building, stepping outside, I think I dropped that paperwork, and somebody was just right there. It was a municipal officer or whatever. You know what? He gave me an instant charge of £75 for dropping that small piece of paper, just just the outside the building. You know. So I mean, it's just attitudinal change. We just have, and the laws are there. In Gambia, we have this anti-littering law. And then if you discharge wastewater outside of your backyard to the main public street, you're supposed to be fined for that. But here you go to everywhere in Gambia, people are dropping, they don't even care about those laws. So we just need to
Hmm.
change attitude and respect our laws. That's it. So I want to thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. So I think at this point we definitely had exhaust this topic in a way. But my only concern here is that we the Gambians, we are good at this. Great ideas. We you identify the issues, but we don't have enforcers. We don't have people who would go after to make sure that this is done. We also don't have the political will or the leadership will to get things done. That's what I'm saying to us. We need to come to a realization to say enough is enough. Let's take the matter in our own hands. Because the point here is that all of us here are highly achieved individuals in our own capacity. The talent that we have right here, if you put it together, it can build a nation. But the problem is we are not working together towards the nation. We are working together towards us and our families. This is the fact. This national dialogue that was done a couple of months ago or last year, what has come? What came out of it? Nothing. It was just a political move. But realistically, nothing has been done. That there is no result oriented. It was not a result oriented move. So that's what I'm saying. Now we're talking about the leadership, like Sam is saying, top down approach. We can sit here. We've been talking about the leadership for years, since Jawara's administration up to now. We have not found a solution. So what I'm calling for, I personally, together with all of you here and Dr. Ismail, Badjie, is we need to start taking the matter in our own hand. We see when you take the matter in our own hand, you act collectively, and you make sure that that matter is accomplished. So once we started making that move, that's when we're gonna see the changes. But all these things we are doing is we are saying the problem, mentioning it, but at the end of the day, we come out of this show, everything is behind us. We're gonna go to the next discussion again. So public administration, lack of accountability, lack of transparency is a problem, and lack of getting things done is a problem. All these things that we are mentioning, now it is not functioning. That's why we're having this issue. If we solve the NAWED problem, we solve the internet problem. Now, how do we solve that? So, what can we do right now from this group, moving to other groups to solve that problem if the government is not doing it? So, I think this is what it comes down to. But for me, I personally, I'm saying that we know the problem. We just aren't finding ways to solve it. So unless we do that, we will still be the same. This cashless transaction, we're not gonna solve that problem. This electronic banking and then making sure that transparency and accountability, people are not able to steal, we're not gonna solve that problem. Been working effectively, not to be working late, and then producing with productivity, we're not gonna solve that problem, and so forth. Unless and until we solve this national problem, which is the electricity and internet, and of course water. Yeah. So I will let if Famara and Sam have anything before Dr. Badjie comes in to wrap it up. Sam, do you have anything on Famara? Or both of you?
Yeah, it's basically just to wrap up. This is an important topic, and I do want to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Badjie for his time and his commitment to this program and being here today to speak with your experience, international experience as well. So we really appreciate your time very much, and especially sharing your personal interactions or encounters that you had in the Gambia, which is all about public administration. Really shed light on it, and so we appreciate your time. I appreciate you very much, and what you said is all true. Is all true. I've been to Gambia. We've all of us here have been to Gambia, in recently and in the last year or two or so, and we've all seen something different. Even at the airport, same thing. So, in my mind, I look at things. When I see a problem, I would shake my head, as this is a problem, but it's a simple solution to it. So to me, there's a simple solution to some of our problems. We just need to take the action, and if we recommend the solutions, especially to the government should take that action and well, first consider it and look at all aspects of it, and come up with a strategy to implement that to make things faster. Even though I hate the airport tax thing, but I would say that's another burden. That's another thing that when you get off the plane, after so many hours sitting in the plane, you just want to get home. And when you get there, instead, you're going to follow long lines that are going this way. And I think they only have 3 or 4 booths there. Last time I was there last February, I was like, well, look at all that space on that side. Add 2 more booths there, even though I don't want the airport tax to be something that needs to continue. But they have an opportunity to add a couple more booths to make that line go faster. When they eliminate the airport tax, all of those booths could be immigration booths, so that immigration will go even faster. But I see all kinds of opportunities. But at the end of the day, the people in charge should be the ones taking action, because like one professor once said, in Africa, you have a lot of talented, experienced people with great ideas, but they don't have any power. And the people in power have no clue. So this is a problem. And unfortunately, we have to come together for those in power to be able to listen to those with the ideas and steal their ideas and implement them so we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Famara.
Yeah, thank you. Just like you said, Sawaneh, we are good in making laws, all right? But also, we are not good in educating the citizens about those laws that we make. And that also, I mean, even though the law said there is no ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But I think people, when a law comes to effect, people need to be aware of that particular law, so that, there is education, there is sensitization, there is awareness, all right? And once the laws comes into effect, there is no maslaha. It's not like you are a minister or you're a director or a junior person. Anybody who break the law must face the law. And in the Gambia, it's the opposite. That's what we see most of the time. It is the poor people who don't have any connection are always facing the law. Those who make laws break it, or their families or politicians, but then they get away with it. The same violation that you take a poor person to court for, but the same violation is being made by a politician and he's getting away with it. So we should not be when it comes to law enforcement, you don't look at anybody's eye. Whoever break it must face the law. And that's what we need to say. Like the former President Jammeh used to say, Maslaha syndrome. It is what we have in the Gambia. Maslaha, we maslaha too much. You know, we maslaha too much. You don't have to maslaha when it comes to law. Face it. So I think that's what we need to be bold of, Mr. Sawaneh, because Gambia is not different from any other countries. But the reason why other countries take law seriously because they know it is something that the whole country decided to make, or the government institution, and money and time resources has been invested in making that law. That's why when a police officer says something, it should be something that needs to be done. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much. And then yeah, good to have you, Dr. Badjie, around. And then thank you all, Sam and Sawaneh, for your usual and very important discussions you bring every week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Famara. Thank you, Famara. You mentioned something about maslaha and this problem. This is a sickness. Anything happen, they pull you behind. Go don't let wood and don't let anything. Body some we body will this is killing us.
Exactly.
And then we can sit here forever. Once near for back for the mankia body yala mankia Governor yala mankia finkala when you we bring it in all format. Dino format.
Exactly.
So once they started injecting you with those words, guess what? You become weak. And I think this is what they use on our leaders. They go later, yeah, for IO Koti, traditional Koti. Then now you can't effectively rule. Ikoni ni Malta be wala pruka kana ibuka kana no. Inya Malta kumola. Ita konkuntu nola. So our problem is being like that. But Mr. Badjie, you can come on and wrap up. Then definitely we'll call it a day. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Sawaneh, Mr. Sam, and Famara. It has been an absolute pleasure to be on your platform. It's very educative, and we're also looking at the pertinent issues of the Gambia. It is not abstract. It's something that we can, if we come together, can implement. Sam did talk about the airport tax. Again, it's as simple as ABC. They could actually have this online, where you simply go online, pay for it. You just come, you scan it, and then you pass. It's something that will be easy because you don't want to go fly for 8 hours, 10 hours, 6 hours, and then you come to the queue, and most of the time the air conditioning is not working. So that's a challenge there. So overall, I mean, we have a country to build, and I really think that if we all have all hands on deck and focus on the big picture, which is Gambia that we've got, we can make a lot of changes. So my only advice to this platform is to keep talking, keep advocating, and then let's pull people together who are going to focus on implementation of what we have, and also share best practice from across the world. I think if we do that, we can improve a lot. Gambia is probably one of the smallest countries in mainland Africa, but still one of those which is really complicated due to our relationship, due to religion, due to the way we have been set up. Someone can do wrong, someone can even kill someone, and they come in the evening and beg you to let go, and then it's done. So here is the only place where you can get away with murder and easily. So thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I have learned a lot from Sam, from Sawaneh, from Famara. I'm looking forward to connect with you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. We equally have landed.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
we equally have landed from each other. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sam.
Right.
Thank you, Famara.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sawaneh.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.